Most days, I feel like I can't breathe. It's as if an invisible weight sits on my chest, suffocating me slowly, making me feel like I'm dying inside. I move through life in a fog, struggling to comprehend what's happening around me. I have no control over my circumstances, and it leaves me feeling powerless. I wish people could truly understand the depth of pain I carry in my heart. As the new year begins, I find myself sitting here, tears streaming down my face, yearning to move on. But no matter how desperately I want to leave the past behind, it feels like I'm being held back, shackled by the very people who have tormented me. They've crucified my spirit, taunted me with their cruelty, harassed me relentlessly, stalked my every move, laughed at my pain, and bullied me into silence. It's unbearable. Each day feels like a constant tug of war, with forces pulling me from every direction. I'm trapped in the center, like a marionette caught in a storm, every thread of my existence fraying under the pressure. It feels like I'm surrounded by a fire pit of destruction, with chaos aimed directly at me, a relentless barrage that threatens to consume me. I know I've been a victim in all of this, and perhaps what I say sounds like a jumble of thoughts to you. But I'm just trying to make sense of it all. My heart, my soul, my spirit, and my mind are in turmoil. I'm desperately searching for peace, a way to navigate through this pain and eventually move on. To find some clarity, I suppose I should start from the beginning. There was once a little girl who was so confused about life. Everything seemed to happen all at once, spiraling out of control in a way that left her feeling helpless. There are inner, darker secrets buried deep within me that no one will ever know. These secrets hurt my soul, and they have shaped my existence. I remember one particular night that stands out vividly. It was different from all the other storms I had experienced. I was in the attic, a cold and isolated space that felt like a world apart from everything else. The storm outside raged violently, and I had always found solace in its fury. The rain cooled the oppressive heat of the attic, offering a temporary relief from the sweltering air. But that night, the thunder was deafening, shaking the very foundation of the house. I had felt an unusual sense of dread that night, a premonition that something terrible was about to happen. I lay there, wrapped in a thin blanket, trying to drown out the noise. But the storm didn't just bring the sounds of nature, it brought with it the echoes of my fears. As the thunder crashed, I didn't hear footsteps approaching. Before I knew it, my face was covered, and the air was snatched from my lungs. Panic surged through me. I couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. My voice was swallowed by the darkness. I was consumed by terror, the cold attic now feeling like a tomb. The realization of my vulnerability hit me hard. I was completely at their mercy. That night was a turning point. It crystallized my understanding of fear and helplessness. I had always been a shy child, eager to please, but I learned that my compliance did not shield me from harm. Instead, it seemed to invite more. I grew up in a world that felt chaotic and hostile, where the shadows loomed larger than life. As I navigated my childhood, I began to internalize the pain. I wore a mask of smiles, pretending everything was okay, while inside, I felt like I was crumbling. The laughter of my peers, once a sound I cherished, became a weapon turned against me. Each taunt, each mocking word pierced my heart, carving out pieces of my spirit until I felt like a mere shadow of myself. The years rolled by, but the scars remained. Every experience was laid on top of the last, building a fortress of loneliness around me. Friends I once had drifted away, unable to understand the darkness I carried. I often felt like a burden, like a weight dragging others down into my abyss. In the halls of school, I learned to navigate the treacherous waters of social dynamics. I observed, quietly watching as others formed bonds while I remained on the periphery. I tried to blend in, to become invisible in hopes that I wouldn't attract attention. But the more I tried to hide, the more I seemed to stand out. I became a target, and the bullying escalated. I still recall the first time I faced a group of classmates mocking me openly. The laughter echoed in my ears, a cruel symphony that played on repeat. I remember the feeling of heat rising to my cheeks, a mixture of shame and anger bubbling within me. I wanted to scream, to fight back, but the words froze in my throat. Instead, I became adept at retreating inward, a silent warrior in a battle I felt I could never win. It was during these moments of isolation that I found solace in writing. Words became my refuge, a means to express the pain I couldn't vocalize. I filled notebooks with stories, thoughts, and poems, pouring my heart onto the pages. In those moments, I could escape, if only for a little while, from the torment that plagued me. Writing offered me a glimpse of freedom, a world where I could be anyone and escape the confines of my reality. I crafted characters who faced challenges but emerged victorious. I wrote about friendships that defied the odds and journeys that led to self-discovery. Each word was a balm to my wounded soul, a reminder that there was more to life than the pain I felt. But even writing couldn't fully shield me from the reality of my situation. I became adept at pretending, hiding my hurt behind a carefully crafted facade. When people asked how I was, I would smile and say I was fine. But deep down, I felt like I was screaming into the void, hoping someone would hear me, understand me, and finally see me for who I truly was. There were good days and bad days, but the bad days seemed to outweigh the good. I often found myself trapped in a cycle of despair, questioning my worth and wondering if I would ever be free from the shadows that clung to me. On my worst days, I felt like a ghost haunting my own life, a mere observer of the world around me. As I entered into my later years as a child, the bullying intensified. Social media became a new battleground, amplifying the cruelty I faced. I remember the first time I saw a cruel message directed at me online. My heart sank as I read the words, each one a knife twisting deeper into my soul. It felt like the whole world had turned against me, and I was left standing alone in the midst of a storm I couldn't escape.